Welcome to In The Crosshairs, presented by Line Sniper, your definitive resource for sports betting content and in-game analysis. And don't be surprised here, it's your boy Early, Joey Knish on the takeover here, filling in for Ali Melendez, the host. So it's another beautiful face you got here. You got Uncle K hosting the show with a little bit of boys takeover today. So we're going football, football, football. We got presidential election stuff. It's a full up on a Tuesday. And who do I got here with me on Tuesday? But my man, James, J-Maz, it's the boys' day, man. Tuesday's for the boys. How you feeling today, brother? We got a little two-man show going on here today. What's happening?
Oh, not much, man. I'm loving it. We're gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if you just never see Ali again after we pull this off. So, we'll take the reins from here and talk a little football on the day, man.
No, we might not see her because the Giants blew that game last night as well. So it could be a little double dip here of no Alley, no Giants. But listen, we're gonna start it off. We're gonna start it off with the NFL, and we're going right to Thursday night football, baby. We got Packers, we got Niners. We had a lot of some key injuries on both sides. Both teams coming off significant losses over the weekend. Give me what you think, baby. Our early Thursday night football takes. You got any side and total action on this one for me?
Yeah, that Packers game really surprised me. I thought they would go in and handle Minnesota pretty easily. Did Minnesota, expose that defense a little bit from a standpoint of I thought that they were going to be a pretty good unit. A little hesitant to back a Packers team coming off a loss when they looked that shitty. But you get in a Niners team that is, injuries, obviously, coming off of a Super Bowl championship. The injury bug hit them. Their injury luck stopped. They have Bosa, Ford, Garoppolo, Kittle, Mostert. These are their best players on the team, and there's no relief in sight for this team. So I'm wondering again. Look, you're getting a quarterback. You're going from Garoppolo to Mullins. Whether or not that's a upgrade or a downgrade, I'll let you determine that one. I know you can tell me, but ultimately, I think that they have too many guys missing on the field, and I can't see Aaron Rodgers losing 2 in a row. Now, are they going to cover the 6 on the road? I'm a little hesitant to see that. This is probably most likely a stay away for me. If you can give me a total opinion on the total, I think you can talk me into it. But in terms of the side, I think this is just a pure stay away.
No, I'm leaning that way as well. If it was to get up to 7, I'm seeing 5.5, 6 across the board. If it was to get up to 7, I'd have to buy in the Niners at that point. On the total, I have a slight lean to the under, but I think Nick Mullins isn't much of a downgrade from Jimmy G. Now, is he going to be without a number of weapons, as you said? Absolutely. But you've got so much uncertainty going into this game. The Packers now down multiple running backs. They're going to be trotting out some practice squad guy out there. So it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of injuries on both sides. I don't have a lot of dynamic takes either way for this one, but I will say if it does get to 7, that's my buy price for me. Total wise, we'll be looking at 50, 51 on there. Again, another one at 51. I'm a slight lean to the under. But so much uncertainty that I don't think I've got much here for it. Speaking of a little bit of uncertainty, going into the week, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, there might be some people like Uncle K. Hopefully I got to delete these messages that said the Steelers weren't a bye team in the offseason. I got to go back and delete those tweets. They stay undefeated with a shocking, I'm going to call it shocking, upset in Baltimore. If you look at the box score and you look at the post-game win expectancy, you would say, how the hell did this team win the game? But they did. They're undefeated, trending towards a potential 1 seed in the AFC. Give me your Steelers takes here. Are you buying this team? Do you think they're undervet? I'll give you my takes afterwards, and I think you know where I'm going with it. But where are you at on the Steelers as far as chances to win the AFC and futures prices at the moment?
I found that game really interesting. Watched most of it. If you're going to get 14 points off of 2 Lamar Jackson turnovers, I think the box score will look a little odd. So I agree with you on that point. But at the same time, when you're looking at how Lamar Jackson played in that game, I'm curious if he is the guy that can actually overtake this Steelers team. And then obviously we have a Chiefs team that is to me, the favorite for the AFC. I'm wondering if he's actually going to be the guy. Our team's going to be figuring him out. He cannot make the throws that he made. He cannot turn the ball over like that. So Are the Steelers for real? If that's the question, jury is still out for me. Big Ben he is showing his age in terms of his throws down the field. Now, Captain Checkdown, he's making some good throws to some really good athletes at the skill position. So he may not have to be anything more than the game manager, but in the end, losing Bush on that defense is going to hurt them. Didn't quite show against the Ravens, but I also think that was a little bit of a fluke. And I think a guy like Pat Mahomes will slice and dice that defense. The problem is the AFC is not really good. So being the second or third best team in the AFC is going to be enough to definitely compete for that bye. But should they be the favorites out of the AFC? I'm not quite ready to go there. There's still a guy in KC who's the best player in the league, and they have an awesome coach. So I'm not going to name them favorites. I do like them over Baltimore because I have questions about Lamar Jackson.
Interesting. Now, I'm going to tell you what, I would not. This is the ultimate, like, if you want to sell high, buy low, any of that. I think if you're getting on the Steelers right now, you might. It's like buying Bitcoin at 20K. Like, you're buying this team after a game that they arguably shouldn't have won. That they're only behind the Chiefs now in terms of Super Bowl prices. I'm seeing plus 550, 6-1 out there at the highest for the Steelers. I would have zero interest in any Steelers futures at the moment. However, if I'm going to buy futures, I would buy low on. I know I'm Lamar Jackson. There's been some regression this year. The passing game hasn't been there. But if there's a team that I'm going to buy, it would be, I don't see any lower point. I mean, there's some Ravens out there, Super Bowl 14-1. For me, if there's a team that you're going to buy low, it's a Ravens after this type of loss. I'm not as you mentioned, Devin Bush, Michigan man, by the way, huge loss on that defense. I can't see them being able to continue this streak. I think they've got a lot of variance, going their way. It's a good defense. Don't get me wrong, but I still think there's multiple teams, especially if you want to talk, Super Bowl odds. I think you've got 4 or 5 teams in this league better than the Steelers. So for me, it would be nothing on the, Pittsburgh. If anything, I'd be looking to buy low elsewhere. Now, we're going to go on to another team with a little bit of, I'm not going to call it, Super Bowl chances here, but the Dolphins, big win over the Rams on Sunday, and they're in the mix in the AFC East. This defense is real deal. You could argue it's one of the top 3 defenses. Maybe, some people would argue it's the best defense in the NFL. And you had Tua's first start. Not going to say he filled up the box score looking great, but the Dolphins, they've got I like Brian Flores. Where are you at on this Miami team? Can they challenge the Bills in the AFC East? It looks like the fade is back. The Jets are, you nail in the coffin. Does Miami have a chance in the East? And what do you think of the Tua debut?
So we'll start with Tua. Look, I was not a real big Tua believer from the very beginning. I think a lot of what he did at Alabama was basically buoyed by the fact that at the skill positions, they just had insane athletes, all 5 stars across the board, the best offensive line in the country. It allowed him to be able to have an easy job. Now, what we saw from him and what I saw from him in college is a slow release, and he's just a small guy. And so those two things combined, to me, I don't like that for my quarterback. So when we look at his performance last week, 12 of 22, you're not going to get it done that way. He didn't run overly effectively. And let's be real, he has some serious injury concerns considering is he 5'10"? Is he 5'11"? I mean, I think he's listed at 6 foot. I'm not even sure that that's even realistic. The throw that he made, and he's getting credit for, by the way, it wasn't an absolutely terrible throw. The guy was covered and he made a really good catch on that ball for the one touchdown that he did have. I will say this about Tua. He will be at best the 3rd best quarterback in that draft behind Herbert. And obviously, Joe Burrow is all world. That guy's going to be an absolute superstar in the league. Dolphins as a whole will be carried by that defense. Great defense. In that division, that might be enough to get it done. I see nothing from the Patriots. Cam Newton he's almost done. And I'm just will never be a Josh Allen believer, despite the fact that he has played well. When it comes down to it, I don't see him making the throws necessary to be a legit contender. Now, the East is down with that defense. I think they can probably have they would have a good chance, in a neutral site game against Buffalo. Probably make that about a coin flip game. So I don't necessarily see it being any kind of a big factor. But in terms of Super Bowl and in terms of Tua, I'm completely out on them.
I will say, I may have told a girl or two in my lifetime I was 5'10", 5'11", so I can't hate on them there. And, maybe the license may say 5'8", but, if I'm, leaning up a little bit, so I can't hate on them for that. Now, talk to me about Bills leading the division 6-2, minus 700 out there. You can get the Fins right around plus 600, maybe a little higher somewhere. I'm looking at 600 at DraftKings. Can I entice you on a little Miami at plus 6-1, or is that just a stay away? You think the Bills get it done and the Dolphins maybe next year type team?
With that defense, I think that that's a great bet. And again, they have a lot of in-division games already to be played, right? So you're gonna see the New England, who no one's afraid of at this point. I mean, that team is. I wouldn't be surprised if they're tanking by the end of the season. And then you have the Jets, who are the worst team in football. So yeah, plus 600, absolutely. They have a 2-game. They have to make up 2 games. Now, here's the thing: if they brought Fitzpatrick back into that quarterback position, I think that's an absolute buy. I would right now call it good. But with Tua, a little more hesitant, but at the same time, that defense is totally good enough to be able to fulfill that.
Now let's go right into the game on the weekend. So if we're buying on Miami, we would think that maybe this weekend's got a little bit of a buy here versus the Cardinals. Dolphins plus 4.5 on the road at Arizona. Total sitting 47.5 plus 175 on the money line. Where are you at on this game? It's a game if the Dolphins want to make a run at the division, as you're saying, they got to have against the Cardinals team. That's probably a bit fortunate and a bit overrated with their current record. Getting 4.5 points on the road, Cardinals coming off a little bit of a long week, extra rest. Do you see, Dolphins maybe a little bit of a fluke win versus the Rams? What do you got for me here? Dolphins 4.5 at Arizona.
So, I think that the 4.5 for me, with Tua making his second start against a pass defense that has been randomly pretty decent down there in Arizona. I think they have a top 10 pass defense according to Pro Football Focus. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And you have some talent on that in that pass defense. Most of them, by the way, are from the University of Washington, baby. Byron Murphy, Buda Baker, they're fucking stars. But what we'll say is that that line was a little curious to me. I don't think that the Tua should be a road favorite considering what we saw. But the problem is this for everything that the Arizona and Kyler Murray, all the credit they get for having a good offense, it's been really bad. Like, it is one of the least efficient offenses in football. With that being said, I would take Arizona here or nothing. I'm guessing that you probably have a little better angle on that over under, and I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards Tua. I have Tua unders to start. There's a Dolphins team that's going to lean on their defense. I think Arizona's been, kind of an underwhelming offense, even though you've got Kyler Murray kind of balling out. It hasn't led, to the tremendous production that you would have thought. So for me, that's an underlook there at 47.5. But on the side, I agree with you. This is a game if Fitz was there, I'd be very, very bullish on backing Miami. It's hard, though, after Tua's debut, that was, super conservative. If they get down by 2 scores at any point, is he able to bring them back in the game? Probably a stay away from me on the side. I do lean under there. But now, listen, I like NFL football. You like NFL football. But we're going to our baby, college football. Yes, NCAA Maction's back this week. And also a little conference out west called the Pac-12. Very similar to the MAC, in fact, some people would say. The Pac-12 is back. Pac-12 is back this weekend. Let's talk some college football, some moneymakers. Give me your first. I know you're going to have bets down on the Pac-12 this weekend. Give me your best. You know what? If that's a best bet, or give me a couple of early looks you've got. Pac-12 starting up this weekend. What you got for me?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? To be honest with you, a Pac-12 team making the college football playoff has about the same odds as a MAC team making the college football playoff. So you are right in that regard. There's the talent discrepancy right now. Currently, now, I think that's going to change. You have some teams that those blue chip ratios are rising in Oregon, Washington, and obviously USC always recruits well. This year is not the year for that. Look for them in the next couple of years to be able to actually compete on the national level. But with that being said, Pac-12 is back this year. My favorite bet, I'm going to go to a team that I love backing this team as an under team. I have since Mario Cristobal took over the head coaching job there at the University of Oregon. University of Oregon is a team that loves to run the football. They want to establish that identity. Cristobal calls it the SEC identity before they actually start throwing the ball. So the old SEC identity, or it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They want to attempt to establish the run. But the problem is they're going to do so trying to replace 5 starters on the offensive line. Not a really good recipe for success on the offensive side of the football if you want to run the ball and you have no guys who know what the hell they're doing, right? On the flip side of that, you have a Stanford team that a brand new quarterback in Davis Mills, while he is the number 1 pocket passer coming out of college. Again, their offensive line is in absolute shambles, and they have an Oregon defensive line that has a lot of good players up front. Kayvon Thibodeau, they returned most of their starters up front, And also, if you want to match up with what Stanford's their best part of their offense, they have good receivers. Oregon, very highly rated DBs. They're young, they're highly rated. Last but not least, David Shaw, we all know what he wants to do. He wants to establish the run as well. So I see this game as being two guys basically hitting the middle. They're not going to get past the opponent's 30s very often. Huge under. 53.5 is what this thing opened at. It's down to 51. It's a play for me all the way to 48.
I like it. Now, I'm not going to let you off the – you think I'm going to let you off the hook here without talking a little UW, baby? Versus Cal.
Baby.
This game in the look-aheads over the summer had UW, somewhat between a 4 and a 6-point fave. Now we're here at game week, and we're looking right around, pick -1. I've seen the line bounce around a little bit. What do you like a little bit with UW here early? This is it's the game that I know they're going to have the talent advantage over it, but it's an upstart Cal team. A lot of people like them. What you got for me?
I have absolutely no idea why Cal is a trendy pick in the Pac-12 this year. I think SI came in and said they're going to win the conference. I mean, that is absolutely ludicrous. On the defensive side of the football, they're losing their all-world linebacker, covered up a lot of mistakes in Evan Weaver. They lost their best defensive lineman who opted out for the season. They have nothing on defense, and this is the team that had been defense was their namesake. They lost their best defensive asset as a coach to Alexander. He went to the NFL. They're not replacing anything on the defensive side of the football. I'm not sure how they're going to stop anyone, and they weren't good at stopping anyone last year. Okay, where people are finding where people like Cal is in offense. But the problem is their offense they have a lot of returning production there, but it's really bad returning production, right? Garber's not a great quarterback. Skill positions, not super productive last year. I don't understand how you could just all of a sudden be productive. Now, the Washington side of things, there are some issues there too. They're replacing their offensive coordinator with a guy who is a complete bum to me. I don't understand why he was hired. He shouldn't be there, Donovan. As an alum, I'm a little pissed about that. But here's the thing. The Washington defense will be one of the best in the nation. They return almost all their starters. Okay, they did lose 2 defensive linemen, two opted out, but they're flooding in some of the best defensive line recruiting classes they've ever had at the school. So on the defensive side of football, they're not going to have any issues. Are they going to be able to move the ball? Well, the line reflects that. You're looking at a 42 across the board in that game. I don't see how they could possibly be a pick 'em. I think that game was correct in the initial openings at Washington -6. I make it 8, so I mean that's 100% a bet for me at UW, and that's not an alum thing because I will bet on that against them. I've made most of my money betting against my Washington Huskies. I just know them very well. This is a game that they should easily win outright.
No, I agree with you. I like that one. I think there's significant talent disparity there. Going to bet some UW myself with there. And then the Pac-12 master himself, likes a little Stanford, Oregon under there. I'm going to give you a couple of quick.
What do you got for me?
One Maction. I got, listen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time breaking down the Maction because we'll probably have, 0 viewers left by the time we're done. I laid it with Penn State tomorrow. That Eastern Michigan lost a ton. They lost their quarterback. They lost a couple guys that actually ended up making the NFL. Very, very tough to recruit at Eastern Michigan and, backfill some of the players there. Kent State brings a lot back. I like the staff they have on there. So I'm going to lay it Kent -6 there. And also, okay. I'm going to go a little – we're going Hurricanes, baby. I'm going Miami on Friday. Laid some -9.5. There's some -10s out there. North Carolina State lost their starting quarterback. It's a little bit of, a shit show on the back up there. I don't think they can run with Miami. I think you've got another game where you're talking a nice talent disparity there. So for me, I'm going to go, I laid it with the Hurricanes. Couple of early looks there for college football. And hopefully, we can make you a little money here this Saturday and Sunday. But first, we're going to try and make a little money tonight on Super Tuesday, baby. We've got, this is, one of the topics that people don't have a lot of, strong opinions on. Politics, the presidential election tonight. Trump, Biden, you know what? You've got the polls closing here in about first polls closing in about 2 hours. Biden sitting around, -200, -220. Some of the euro across the country is -250. Do you see any value there, whether it be general election, popular vote? You got a state or a Senate race to throw out there. Anything you like tonight in the political realm?
I'm not understanding the Trump plus, at 200, you're looking at 33% implied odds. I think it's far higher than that. He does have to run pretty pure to win this election. He's going to need a snag, obviously Ohio and Florida. Most likely will need Pennsylvania, and then he's going to need some help from maybe in Arizona, an outside chance at Virginia, or swinging one of the states up where you're from, where he's behind substantially in those states. But the thing is to me, I think the polling, especially out of North Carolina, which is giving Biden a little bit of a chance. I think that polling is completely off. I wonder if the Virginia polling, which is basically saying that Biden is a clear and cut winner of that state, is a little bit off. And the thing is if he does pull Pennsylvania, what that's going to do is that's going to have an effect on the vote, on how the voters are turning out across the entire the entire country. So if he can grab Pennsylvania, I would expect him to be able to seal a victory with either Arizona or one of the states in the north. And I don't think that that's that far out of the question. Putting him at plus 200, that's a 33% chance that he's going to win this election. I like it right around 45%. I don't think he's going to win, but I don't think it's as small as a 33% chance. He does need to run Pierre in Ohio, Florida, and most likely Pennsylvania if he doesn't switch any of those states up where you're from, which to me, I think that chance is rather high. In terms of the Senate, if he pulls those states, the Senate's going to stay it's going to stay R. And so, I'm sure you have some plus money there because I know the polls are showing a Senate switch in the majority. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it. I don't really think he's going to win, but I think at 200, you got a little bit of value there.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I know a lot of the polls have that as a deeper favorite, but I agree. I think the popular vote and electoral college, you really got to separate it out. We've talked about it before on the show. I've laid some big numbers for popular vote. I don't think there's any question that Biden wins. But as you said, there's a pretty straightforward pathway for Trump to win the electoral college. And it starts with, if you say, if Pennsylvania, it might call, I mean, this is, could come down to one or two states, Pennsylvania being one of them. So I agree. It's a little steep for me. I don't have anything, as far as on the general. I also think, just as an FYI, a lot of places aren't grading this till Inauguration Day. So you could be out there, holding your money for a few months here. So for me, I agree. I did take a little bit of Republicans to maintain the Senate at plus money. A couple of southern states, I know there's some sharp people that I follow, like Texas and Florida, to remain Trump. I would agree with that. And I'm pretty aligned with your analysis that I think Biden wins. I think it's very tight, though. So for me, I don't have anything, too crazy to bet tonight. I do like a couple of the turnout props, so I think you see record turnout. So if your book's got some, if you've got over, I've seen over 150 million or over 70 million votes for each candidate, I would go overs there, especially if you can get, some plus money on those. I think you're seeing, there's a couple of states where the early voting has already surpassed 2016 turnout. So I would think this is going to be the most voted on election of the modern era, in the 19th, since, 18 something. I don't know. I was looking this up the other day, but bottom line is, we'll see what happens tonight. But listen, we're not going to sign off without giving you the best bets, baby. The real money makers. We've talked a lot about, we've got NFL, we got college football, we got politics. But give me the best bet of the weekend. Can be anything you want. What you got for us, to sprinkle a little cheddar this weekend and bring it home.
Yeah, this line opened 2.5, and it's flipped all the way, to the Oregon State -2 at this point. So at -2, I'm still totally fine with it. I make them a 5-point favorite at home against the Washington State Cougars. Here's the thing with the Cougars: they are implementing a run and shoot offense, okay, and they have no time to do so, and they have skill position players and offensive linemen who are built for an air raid. There can't be two more different offenses than a run and shoot and an air raid. I know they sound fun. I know they put up a lot of numbers, but they're not the same thing. And to try and implement that offense with the new quarterback, and they do have some skill position players, obviously. Leach is going to get those receivers, those 3 stars that are excellent, and their running game was solid last year. That's not going to change. But implementing that kind of offense with limited practice is almost impossible, okay? You look at the defensive side of the football for Washington State, it's atrocious. It's probably the worst in the Pac-12. We'll just leave it at that. On the flip side, Oregon State. Jonathan Smith, Oregon State head coach, is probably the best play caller in the Pac-12. He turned an Oregon State program that was a complete bottom dweller into an extremely competitive team. They do lose their quarterback in Luton, but here's the thing. They're not really missing much. I'm pretty sure that's going to be pretty much a wash. I can't pronounce the dude's name who's replacing him, but he coming from Nebraska. He does have starting experience there, and he has 2 years sitting behind him to kind of learn the offense. And again, Smith will play call him into good situations. I can guarantee that. And even on the defensive side of the football, at the end of the year, while Oregon State was showing a lot of havoc plays, a lot of progression on the defense, making them anything less than 3 is a complete best bet. It should be a lot closer to 5 or 6, considering what Wazoo's going through in their offseason. That is my best bet for the weekend.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
What do you got for
And
me?
I'll be jumping on the break. I'm going to throw you. Listen, we're going. You're sitting there Saturday. You've had the full slate. You're on the East Coast, and you're wondering, what am I going to bet? We're going to Hawaii, the mainland. But listen, we got to fade them. We got to fade them. Hawaii really struggled last week, and I know fading Hawaii on the mainland can be a little touchy, but it's a New Mexico program that I think is on the rise. Danny Gonzalez, they got rid of Bob Davie and his, that disaster of a tenure. I think they're going to be a team that improves throughout the season. They brought in, Rock Longyear to coach the defense.
Yep.
For me, I think that this is over 2 touchdowns is a nice look for New Mexico. It's not the vintage Hawaii offense there. They struggled last week against Wyoming. I know there was some weather going on there, but it's not a great Wyoming defense this year. They're a little bit Jack Cordero. They doesn't run the traditional. They've tried changing up a few things schematically. Since they lost Rolovich. Bottom line is, I'm a buy team on New Mexico. I'm going to take the 15.5. I like it all the way down to 14. So give me the 2 TDs with the Lobos, baby. Best bet of the weekend here. Hey, I think that does it. Listen, it was an all boys here, line sniper. What'd you think
Yes,
of
sir.
this here? Listen, I mean, Allie's going to be coming back, calling Uncle K and first, little hosting lessons here. I'll do one of those Instagram, host shows or whatever. There. What'd you think, my man?
I'll tell you what, I love Allie to death, but unfortunately, I think that we probably just replaced her. That's all I can really say.
Hey, good stuff. Good stuff. There
Good
it is.
stuff,
You
man.
got all the bets for the weekend. You got NFL, college football, politics. We are Line Sniper in the Crosshairs, your definitive resource for in-game analysis and sports betting content. For my man, Jay Maz, this is Joey Knish and all the boys in the studio. Good show, my man. We're signing off. We'll talk to you soon.